And it's Arcanine PC. We're by far the greatest team that the world has ever seen. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You can call me Kai Guy. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And if this is your first time here, then welcome to you. I am your coach of the Arcanine Pokemon Club. That is Arcanine PC for short. In the NBA, and we are here for a Week 8 battle going up against Zathandous. We are going to be breaking down their team, what they could possibly bring, the 6 Pokemon I brought to combat that, and then of course, as always, the battle will follow. If you guys are hyped for some more Draft League battles, make sure you show some love to that like button, really appreciate that, and definitely subscribe if you're new around here. I would appreciate that as well, especially if you like this kind of draft content, because I'm having a lot of fun, and I want to keep it going, so hopefully y'all like it too. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the Pokemon that Zathandous could possibly bring this week. So they've got Roaring Moon, Zapdos, Mega Scizor, Galarian Weezing, Scovillain, Chi-Yu, Quagsire, Whimsicott, Honchkrow, and Cherrim. So kind of a little bit of a Sun team a little bit with the Photosynthesis on the Roaring Moon, the Fire-type boost for the Chi-Yu, the Chlorophyll on the Scovillain, also the Cherrim with the Flower Gift, I think is what it's called. I could be wrong about that. But he's got a bit of a mini Sun team. Not any like weather abilities though. So like no drought, no like desolate land, which obviously is banned anyway. So if he wants to run Sun, he has to run it manually. He also has a very solid Fairy Dragon Steel Core in the Mega Scizor, the Roaring Moon, and the Galarian Weezing. Very, very physically bulky. Doesn't really want to take special hits all that much, but maybe we can take advantage of that. Also, Chi-Yu is terrifying. That thing does a lot of damage, and it's going to be very scary to deal with. So hopefully I brought a team that can handle it for the most part. We shall see. So that is the Pokemon that they are going to be bringing. As for potential brings, I feel like probably Roaring Moon, probably Mega Scizor, definitely Chi-Yu, maybe Honchkrow, because Honchkrow's not too bad into my team, honestly, outside of Manectric. I don't know. We'll see. As for the 6 I'm bringing, let's go ahead and jump right into those. So first up is Rhea, the KYUREM holding the Choice Scarf with the Pressure ability, and the moves Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, Earth Power, and Draco Meteor. So the main reason I'm doing this is to help me outspeed a lot of the Pokemon on his team. So, for example, I believe Roaring Moon has, like, how much base speed? Let me look. While we're all here having ourselves a grand old time, let me take a look. So Roaring Moon's base speed is 119. So I definitely don't outspeed that because if he's got Photosynthesis up, but I do outspeed it with this Choice Scarf. So that's why I'm rocking my 88 speed, is to guarantee I outspeed a Roaring Moon. And I think it also outspeeds Chi-Yu if he's not invested. Am I correct about that? No. So either way, I'll be able to outspeed both of them as long as they are not Scarfed themselves, and that's why we're able to invest in a good amount of bulk this week, because KYUREM is a little bit slower than a lot of his main threats, like the Roaring Moon, the Zapdos, the Chi-Yu. So a little bit of extra speed goes a long way, and we can invest that extra speed we don't need thanks to the Choice Scarf into bulk, because as long as he's not running a Scarf on his Pokemon, we'll still outspeed everything and be able to get off some big, powerful damage. So Freeze Dry is here primarily for Quagsire before it Terras, which I forgot to mention. Quagsire and Whimsicott are his two Terra captains. Say that 5 times fast. So Freeze Dry is mainly there for that before it decides to Terrastalize. Ice Beam is just there for general damage and hitting stupid hard on something like the Roaring Moon, something like the Zapdos. Does good damage to Scovillain and Weezing. All that cool stuff, as well as the Honchkrow and the Cherrim too, and the Whimsicott. Yeah, KYUREM looks insane into his team. Like, this was a guaranteed bring. Yes, I brought it to every game this season, but point still stands. This Pokemon was a guaranteed bring. Earth Power is mainly there for Chi-Yu. That's honestly it. Like, it's there to outspeed Chi-Yu and get off a big, big hit on it, and possibly just Okoa, because Chi-Yu has very, very pathetic defenses and HP. So hopefully that means we can just take it out. And then Draco's just there. If I need to click a nuke button, I can be like, okay, hit the nuke. And we just drop a Draco on something. Ideally on something like the Roaring Moon to just one-shot it, or even something like the Chi-Yu if I don't know if Earth Power will kill, but I'm pretty sure it will. And then even something like the Quagsire after Terrastalize is just getting a big, big hit off from that thing. As long as it's not Terra Fairy, we can get some massive damage off. A lot of HP this week, 168 to be exact, 252 special attack with a modest nature, and 88 speed. Like I said, guarantees me to outspeed everything. as long as they are not Choice Scarfed as well. If he ends up running Manual Sun this week, we have ways around it, but it still could be a little bit scary. So we'll see how that kind of goes for us. Next up, we got Frederick R. Ting Lu holding the Assault Vest with Vessel of Ruin, Earthquake, Ruination, Body Press, and Snarl. This is kind of just here to be a Chi-Yu answer if things get out of hand. Even with like all my stats and everything, like my lowering the special attack stat and my max HP and max SPDEF here, I still almost get 2-shot by a Chi-Yu Overheat, which is kind of insane with how much special defense this thing has, plus the AV. I still almost get 2-shot by a Chi-Yu. That is insane to think about, dude. This is here to be a Chi-Yu answer, get off big damage on it as well. The only thing is we gotta be careful about the amount of times we switch it in. Because I don't really want this thing to get whittled down too much, and then I lose all my Chi-Yu answers, especially if he's Scarf or something. But we've got Earthquake, Ruination, Body Press, and Snarl, like I was saying. Earthquake does good damage to Chi-Yu and should just one-shot because that thing has pathetic defenses and HP, like I've already said. Ruination does good damage to everything, getting 50% off on all of them. A little bit of Body Press action just for general damage. We have a very high defense stat, so I figured might as well. There's not really a whole lot I really want to hit. But it could still come in clutch. And then Snarl for something like the Chi-Yu as well if it switches in, or even like the Zapdos to lower special attack stat. Or maybe even catching the KYUREM or the Scovillain on switch in. So, yeah. And like I said, max HP, max SPDEF here. Mainly there to be a Chi-Yu answer, so hopefully that'll work for us. Next up is Catherine the Manectric, holding the Manectric with the Lightning Rod ability. Volt Switch Thunder. I meant to put Thunderbolt on that, but spoilers, I've already played this battle. And I guess I rocked with Thunder. You live and learn, I guess. This is why you always check your teams before you start the battle, because I panicked when I had the actual battle. Volt Switch Thunder, Flamethrower, Toxic. Like I said, outside of Thunder, this is the moveset I plan to run almost every game this season. There's not really anything else that I would want to run on this thing this week. But we do outspeed his entire team after Mega Evolution, which is very helpful for us. With that 128 speed that we need right there, we guarantee outspeed literally his entire squad. So we can just focus on a little bit of bulk and a lot of special attack instead. Volt Switch is there for general momentum. He doesn't really have a ground type after the Quagsire goes for Terra. If it does go for Terra, excuse me. So because of that, Volt Switches are kind of free into his team. Thunder, like I said, I misclicked, but maybe we can get a big Thunder up on something. Flamethrower is there for the Mega Scizor, does good damage to the Scovillain as well. And then Toxic just to whittle things down. Get on something like the Quagsire, something like the Roaring Moon, something like the Zapdos, just to get a little bit of a timer going, make sure that they can't really deal with me. And like I said, we're running max special attack, 252, 128 special, 128 speed, excuse me, 128 HP, just for a little bit of bulk. So yeah, that's gonna be Catherine this week. Next up is Sita R. Moltres holding the heavy duty boots with pressure. Which is actually supposed to be Flame Body. Whoops, Kai is really struggling with his team building this week. With the moves of Roost, Whirlwind, Flamethrower, Air Slash. So for this thing, I wanted to try and fit Toxic on this thing, but it ended up not working out too well. Because I really wanted the flying type move to hit the Scovillain, as well as the KYUREM and Whimsicott. Well, actually I can Flamethrower the KYUREM and Whimsicott, I don't really know what I'm saying. But I also I considered U-turn on this set. I considered Toxic on this set, but ended up going with Flamethrower, Air Slash just for general damage. Roost is there to heal myself. Whirlwind to phase things out. We don't really have too many hazards, and by too many I mean I don't think we have hazards this week. So I'm not going to be using it too much, but it can also get rid of something that's setting up in front of me, like a Swords Dance Mega Scizor, like that kind of thing. Or even like a Nasty Plot Honchkrow, like that kind of stuff. I can just Whirlwind it out and be like, see you later, bye, buddy. And then we're rocking max HP, max defense on this thing with a little bit of speed. Doesn't really do anything for us. But yeah, that's going to be C this week. Just a pretty standard Moltres set. Just making sure it doesn't get hurt by Stealth Rocks. Being able to pivot around, switch in, eat up some physical hits, and then get off some big damage while healing itself. Next up, we got Lucina the Sneasler, our team captain, holding the protective pads with Poison Touch, Swords Dance, Poison Jab, Close Combat, and Rock Slide. So, a couple of things with this moveset. So, Protective Pad is mainly there so we don't end up taking big damage from a Zapdos or we don't end up getting static by a Zapdos if it switches in. Because I really don't want Sneasler getting status this week because it literally just outspeeds this entire team and kind of wins if we can get it set up and going. So I was like, let me put protective pads on this. I don't want to deal with any static shenanigans. So I'm just going to go protective pads, make sure that doesn't happen. And then we can go with Poison Touch to get off some potential poisons to finish off KOs if they don't end up happening for us. So that'll be really, really nice. Yeah, because it's 30% with all our moves that make physical contact. So Poison Jab and Close Combat have a 30% chance to poison. And then Poison Jab also has its own chance to poison as well. So maybe we could roll that. We shall see. We're rocking max physical attack, almost max speed on Sneasler here. This is enough speed to outspeed his entire team, though. 371 is exactly the amount we need to outspeed his entire team, because I think his highest is 370, I want to say? Maybe I'm wrong about that. I thought there was a reason number. I'm pretty sure the highest speed tier you can hit is 370. I could be wrong about that. But either way, we're chilling. We are going to be one of the fastest things here. We can outspeed the majority of his team, get off some big damage on him, get off a nice little SD. Poison Jab does good damage to the Galarian Weezing, the Scovillain, the Whimsicott before it Terras, the KYUREM. Close Combat does good damage to Roaring Moon, to the Mega Scizor, to the Chi-Yu. And then Rock Slide is mainly here just to get off another hit on the Zapdos after we probably Poison Jab into it, and just make sure it goes down immediately afterwards. And like I said, max attack, almost max speed on this thing. That is Lucina. And finally, we got Saber the Scizor holding the leftovers with Technician, Roost, Defog, U-Turn, and Terra Blast. I'm not too sure why I'm running Technician when all of my moves are... I have just been misplaying this team builder so bad this week. Like I said, I've already played this match, so I know the outcome. But wow, I really, like, screwed this up. I'm just going to do this for just general purposes. There's not really a point in having Technician on a Pokemon that doesn't have any moves that are below 60 base power. Because Terra Blast is 80, U-Turn is 70. I'm just gonna put Swarm on that. I gotta really think about that. Oh well, it's fine. So Saber the Scizor is here, holding the leftovers with Swarm. I mean, technically it was still Technician for the battle, but whatever. Because I think I did have Bullet Punch on it for a while, but I got rid of it. With the Swarm ability, Roost, Defog, U-Turn, Terra Blast. Rocking physically defensive on this thing this week. Roost there to heal us, Defog to get rid of any hazards that the opponent might set up on us. Then we've also got U-Turn for Momentum, Terra Blast, rocking the Terra Fire this week, mainly for the Mega Scizor. Just be able to get off a big hit on it, get off some big damage, and be able to take it out. That's mainly Scissor's job this week, is just to be a Mega Scizor answer. Like, honestly, that's it. Like, this thing's job this week is to be a Mega Scizor answer. So as long as it can handle that, we should be alright. And then we've got other Pokemon that can revenge it later if need be as well. Defog, like I said, to get rid of the hazards. U-Turn for Momentum, Terra Blast for Scizor. Max HP, max defense with Impish. Really pushing that defense stat up to its limit, making us as bulky as possible. Be able to eat up physical hits from the Scizor as much as possible. So that is going to be the team we're going to be rocking here against Zathandous. Make sure you guys let me know what you thought about the team in the comments down below. And I hope you will be cheering on your Arcanine Pokemon Club as we jump into the battle against Zathandous. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So I will see you guys in just a moment. Alright, we are back and we got all linked up with Zathandous. Had the battle, time for a little post-commentary battle action. Let's go ahead and take a look at the team they brought. So they brought the Roaring Moon, the Chi-Yu, the Zapdos, the Mega Scizor, the Quagsire, and the Whimsicott. Surprised that there is not any Sun this week. I'm a little surprised. I'm surprised we're also not seeing the Honchkrow here, because Honchkrow I think looks pretty good in my team, literally outside of Manectric. I'm a little surprised we're not seeing that. As for possible leads, possibly the Mega Scizor, just to get his Mega Evolution off and maybe go to U-Turn off. Same thing with the Zapdos to get a little Volt Switch action going. Maybe end up leading the Quagsire to try and set rocks, but we actually see he's going to end up leading with the Whimsicott, as I believe I end up leading with my Manectric. I do end up leading with Catherine. We do see the Whimsy. Nice little shiny Whimsicott. Very good shiny IMO. So they're going to lead with Whimsy as I'm going to lead with Manectric. I feel like they could just fire off a U-Turn and switch out into the Quagsire here, because Manectric can't touch it. So my inclination is like, I'm gonna go for a turn 1 Toxic in case I go, they swap in the Quagsire. But that's usually what opponents want to do to my Manectric, is bring in their ground type. So I'm gonna Mega Evolve. We see he's actually gonna go ahead and go for a Toxic right here, as I end up going for a Volt Switch. Actually, my fault. So I go for Volt Switch here just to keep momentum, because I could have Toxic this thing next turn, so it worked out. I go for my Volt Switch off, I bring in Scizor, and this thing doesn't really want to be in on a Scizor, as we see. So he ends up swapping out into the Chi-Yu right here. And I had a feeling that I knew in my heart of hearts there was no chance in the world this guy wanted to stay in on a Scizor. So I immediately am thinking I'm clicking U-turn because I'm assuming he brings in the Chi-Yu, he might bring in the Mega Scizor, I don't know, but he's not staying in with a Whimsicott. That's gonna take 9 billion% from Bullet Punch, which I don't have. So I'm just gonna freely go for my U-turn here, get off some huge damage. Like, look, this Pokemon has no defense, dude. Like, yeah, it hits like an absolute nuke, but like, look at that. I have no attack investment, and that did almost 50% to that thing. That's insane. Manectric comes back in freely, and I can just freely go for a nice little Volt Switch here. As we see, he's going to bring the Whimsicott back in. I get my Volt Switch off, and why don't we go ahead and repeat that same turn we just did. I'm going to bring Scizor back in. So again, he's getting a little bit low on this thing, but again, I really feel like he doesn't want to stay in on this. And if he does go for something like a Leech Seed or a Toxic, or even something like a Sunny Day, I can just kind of swap. I can just kind of go for U-turn here. As we see, he's gonna bring in the Zapdos. So I'm gonna go for U-turn, and I'm like, all right, KYUREM, time to go kill. KYUREM, go kill. So I'm like, I'm Scarf. I outspeed this thing. If he's Fizz Def, I guarantee knock this thing out with Freeze Dry or Ice Beam. So let's just go ahead and go for it. As we see, he stays in. I knock out the Zapdos. That is the biggest threat to my team gone immediately. Or one of the biggest ones. So we'll take that. We get off big damage on that thing. KO Zapdos. Rhea picking up her first KO of the game. And in comes the Scizor. Also very nice shiny. I'm liking the shinies, my dude. I'm liking it. So I'm like, well, I have my answer to this. It's my own Scizor. As we see, he's just going to go right out into it and start setting up that Swords Dance, which is going to be a little bit scurry. Not fun for me, but I have the Terra Fire on this thing specifically for the Scizor, the Mega Scizor. So I'm like, I'm going to Terra and go for the Terra Blast. As we see, he goes for Aerial Ace and crits me. That's super cool, man. That's super cool. I'm super happy for you. That's real cool, man. So he crits me, does a solid 88%. I get my Terra Blast off. It does 94, but now he can just go for Bullet Punch next turn and pick me off. Whereas otherwise, like, I would be in a much better spot because that crit would have done, like, a decent amount less, and I could KO him with Bullet Punch next turn while also living his Bullet Punch. So, a bit of a dagger, unfortunately. So, Scizor's going to end up going down right here to BP. I get my lefties, but I don't think it matters because he's +2. Sure didn't. So, Scizor's going to go down, but at the same time, I can just bring in Manectric. Getting off into a little Intimidate, so I won't be taking as much from Bullet Punch, which he's clearly going to go for here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just eat the hit and just go ahead and click the Volt Switch button. And we're going to go ahead and Volt Switch right on out of here back into KYUREM because KYUREM has a good matchup into the rest of the Pokemon on his team. In comes the Chi-Yu. I'm not sure why he did that when it's... Unless he's running no speed on Zap so he doesn't think I'm Scarfed yet. Maybe he's just thinking he can get big damage off on this thing, but I'm Scarf, so I think he was running defensive Zapdos for sure. So maybe that's why he didn't, he was a little surprised I outsped him. Or why he wasn't surprised I outsped him, excuse me. So maybe, like I said, maybe he didn't know I was Scarf yet. So I'm like, well, Earth Power kind of hits you. I think I will be going for that. As we see, I get the Earth Power off, and the Chi-Yu is gone. Done and dusted. 10 turns in and half his team is gone, and so are the 3 biggest threats. So we'll take that. This thing could still be a threat depending on its moveset. It also hasn't touched the field yet. Whimsicott's basically at death's door already, so we'll take that. It's looking pretty good for your boy. As they end up bringing in the Roaring Moon, I cannot touch this thing, unfortunately, at the moment. I can go for an Earth Power, but it's not going to do much. So I'm just going to end up swapping out here into Moltres to just eat up a hit. As you see, he ends up going for the Dragon Claw. Only does 33, so Moltres eating it up. What a good Firebird you are, Sita. He's not going to want to stay in, most likely, but on the off chance he did, I was like, I'm just going to click Roost. As you see, he does go for the damage. I get a Roost off. I kind of still wish I would had the Flame Body instead of the Pressure here. That kind of blows because I could be getting a 30% chance to burn him each turn, but it ends up being alright. I'm going to pull a double here out into Manectric, get a nice little Intimidate off. He's going to Throat Chop me. That is fine by me. I'm gonna also take Toxic damage. I wanted to click the Toxic here so bad. So bad, because I thought the switch into Quagsire was just so obvious. But I was like, on the off chance he stays in, I want Manectric to just get a big hit off on this guy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click the Volt Switch here. As we see, he brings in the Quag, Manectric's gonna fall to Toxic. Unfortunate circumstance, but now KYUREM can kind of just come back in. Actually, why did I go Sneasler here? I honestly don't know. Maybe I was baiting a Terra. Did we even see what Terra he was at the beginning? Let's look. So he is Terra Fire Quagsire. So that's interesting. That is very, very interesting. He's also Terra Fairy on the Whimsy. So we'll see if that comes into play or not. So in my mind here, I'm like, okay, I can just go into Sneasler, get off a free U-turn. Actually, I end up doubling out into Moltres here. As we see, he ends up going for the Substitute. So I was like, that's interesting. Wonder what this thing's going to want to do. He's going to go for Scald. Does a decent 42% to me, and I'm going to go for a Whirlwind here and bring out the Whimsicott. So I feel like Moltres has kind of done its job to this point, so I'm like, I'm just going to go for damage on this guy. As we see, he's going to go for Toxic on me. Oh no, I do go for Roost, so I make the smarter play. I thought I just was going to prepare to be sacking off Moltres there, but I make the smarter play and go for Roost there to heal myself back up. He can Toxic me all he wants, I don't really care. As we see, he is now going to go for the Leech Seed and miss. That's unfortunate for him, but now this thing's going to die to a nice little Flamethrower. Moltres picking up a kill. And we are down to the final two Mons. We got the Roaring Moon, and we got the Quagsire. So the Quagsire is going to come back in here. I'm going to immediately swap out into KYUREM here. You see, he's going to go for the Scald. Does literally 0 damage to me. And I'm thinking, okay, he's Terra Fire. He has to know I have Freeze Dry. Surely. So I'm like, I'm going to go for the Earth Power here. And expecting him to go for the Terra Fire. So that's my play. I'm going to go for the Earth Power. Does a solid 39%, which is not nothing to sneeze at. He actually goes for the Recover and did not Terra Fire. So I was kind of surprised. So I'm going to double out into my Tinglu right here. You see, he's going to go ahead and go for Ice Beam. Actually 0 damage. Then I'm going to go for Ruination, just keep him nice and low. As you see, he's going to end up going for another Scald here. No burn, thankfully. And now I'm like, okay, he still hasn't Terra Fired. That's interesting. I'm just going to bring in KYUREM again and see what happens here. So we see he's going to go for Recover. And at this point, I'm like, you know what, screw it. If I can't, if he goes for the Terra this turn, so be it. I don't really care. I'm just going to go for the Freeze Dry. And you see, he does not end up tearing, goes for Freeze Dry. 4 times weak to that, it's going to drop like a ton of bricks. And all that leaves is the Roaring Moon, which is still at full HP and could be a little bit scary if it starts to D-dance up. But I do have Moltres and Tinglu in the back to kind of handle that. So I'm like, I'm just going to go for the Freeze Dry. I'm Scarf. I should outspeed and KO this thing. We see he's actually AV. That only did about 48%, which I believe is the low roll here, so the roll was in his favor there. But now I believe this next turn the roll is in my favor. As you see, he's going to go for the Dragon Claw. It does big damage, but KYUREM is pretty bulky, so we're able to live it. And if we can get this high roll here, we will win the battle. Otherwise, we'll have to fight next turn. But we do win the battle thanks to the KYUREM Freeze Dry high roll. And we end up picking up that hashtag Dubski. And honestly, it worked out fine. Because I could have... Oh, yeah, it was Roaring Moon. That's 370 max. I know what I'm doing. So, yeah. I definitely could have just gone to Sneasler next turn. And just KO'd it. Because I guarantee outspeed no matter what. I could just KO with Close Combat. Or even, like, freaking Rock Slide if I want to click that button and risk the miss. Because I'm like that. But KYUREM ended up getting the high roll there. So we ended up not even needing that. So your Arcanine Pokemon Club are going to move up to 6-2. Excuse me, I'm thinking of the other league. We are now 6-2 on the season, and I believe we are currently locked in at the 3 seed for playoffs. So depending on how the rest of things go, we could end up moving up to 2. But I believe Lethal Blue is locked up the number 1 seed. Your boy is currently locked in at 3. Depending on how things go in the second seeds game, we could end up moving up to 2nd seed. But we'll kind of have to wait and see right there. As of now, we are the 3rd seed, which is actually kind of what I want. Because I have had 2 losses this season. 2. I've lost to Lethal Blue, who is the top seed in the league. And I want that run back. He knows I do. And I have lost to Carnveer in my first game of the season. Carnveer is the 6th seed at the moment. So if things hold, I will get to play Carnveer in my first round of the playoffs. And I can get that little bit of a run back that I want. So ideally, things hold this way so Kai can get his run back. So we shall see how that goes. But we end up picking up that hashtag Dubski right here and move up to the 6-3 or 6-2, excuse me, on the standings. Zathandous is going to fall to 2-6 at the moment. I should mention that earlier. He was 2-5. We are 5-2. But we end up picking up that Dubski, moving to 6-2 in the season. Locked in at the 3 seed. We will see how things go from there. I will see you guys back here next week for a nice little bit of playoff action. We taking on either Carnveer or it seems like we're either going to be taking on Carnveer or Neon. So we'll see how that ends up going for us. If you guys enjoyed the battle, make sure you click that like button, click that thumbs up. It helps me out a ton. Helps people see the content, and maybe they're like the reason they want to join and hang out and the video gets recommended to them is because of your likes, so you never know. Also, subscribe if you are new around here. We are on our way to 600 subscribers. It's my end of the year goal. Really appreciate if you could help me hit that. And if you like the Draft League content, make sure to subscribe as well, because like I want to keep doing it, and if people are really enjoying it, I would like to keep that happening. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to keep that going, and see you guys next week for playoffs. That's all I got for you. I will see y'all next week. Thank you so much for checking out I'm having a stroke. Thank you guys for checking out the battle. I really appreciate it. Your Arcanine Pokemon Club moved to 6-2 on the season. We'll be back here next week for playoffs at the NBA. I will see y'all then, but until then, I'll leave y'all with this.